What we want to do is we did an overview in a prior video. We did 2020 qualified business, what qualify. We did 2021 qualified business. Once you got by first base, we ran to second. And in the prior video, I call it kind of part one qualified wages, we looked at 2020 and qualified wages. What we're now going to do is we're going to go back to second base and finish the qualified wages part two for 2021. So I'm going to kind of follow along. I've left 2020. You can see it right here up top. I'm now going to draw a line across here, and I'm going to, so this is 2021 ERC. I want, again, this whole thing is to hit a home run and get a refundable credit in my bank account. That's our home run. That's our whole reason for this. In the next video after this, and we'll be looking at third base, and we'll be looking at the payroll reports and how to get that back. So let's go on ahead and let's look at qualified wages for 2021. Qualified wages are for small employers limited to 500 full-time employees for 2021. Up here in 2020, it was 100, but we're talking about 2021. Also, what we're doing here, which is really the good take, is that we can get 70% of on $10,000 of qualified wages per quarter. So that's very important. So remember, each quarter we have to start home and see if we're still a qualified business. If we're a qualified business, then we go to second base and look for qualified wages. So for right now, we're not going to talk about quarters qualifying, but I'm going to show you how to calculate qualified wages in each quarter. So here, what happened is that in 2020, we had what I call ERC 1. So ERC 1. What happened was at the end of the year, they came out with ERC 2, and they slightly changed the rules. But with that, the thing about it is the qualified wages itself stay pretty well the same. It's the payroll you're paying plus payroll expenses, health care, etc., all qualify. So in each quarter that we qualify, we have to look at each employee, because remember, we also have the problem in 2021 that we had in 2020. We've got this little, I always do it in this different color, but we got this little PPP problem, the Paycheck Protection Program, where that it's based on qualified wages too. So we have qualified wages PPP, qualified wages ERC. And as I've said many a time throughout these videos, we can't double dip. If we paid $1 wage, we can't take it for PPP and ERC. So what happens is, let's go back here to January 1st. Again, let's PPP. For example, I had clients that in January, so let's say January's right, the last week of January, they got PPP, okay? In that case, when the money got deposited, they start counting that as qualified payroll for PPP. Can't double dip. So during this timeline, we get nothing. And at some point in time, then we go back to, and look at this, ERC from 1/1/21 till the day that we had the payroll deposit put in the bank account, or the day you start tracking to turn into the bank for the debt forgiveness. And then when it stops here, then we go back to ERC. This is PPP. We go ERC as long as we keep qualifying. And each one of these we can get up to 7,000 here, 7,000 here, 7,000 here, 7,000 here per employee. Okay? So if I have one employee, I can get it every quarter. I'm paying somebody 40,000 or more, I'm going to get, if I'm paying them greater than or equal to 40,000, including qualified, expenses, healthcare, withholdings, etc. What's going to happen is I can get a $28,000 refund. But wait a minute, what about if I'm just paying somebody 10 grand a year part-time? Guess what? I can get, if I didn't, and let's say I didn't get a PPP loan, and I'm paying somebody part-time to work for me, you know, I'm self-employed, I work for myself, I just need that part-time person. Then what happens is that $10,000, at that point in time, given you didn't do a PPP, you get a $7,000 credit on paying somebody $10,000. That's money right here at home. That's our ERC credit that goes into our bank account. Now at third base, we'll talk about how to get it faster under the 7,200, which is really important. Because remember, this goes through 12/31 of this year. Because they extended it originally, and I'm going to go back to this Google. I mentioned this in part 1 of qualified wages for 2020. When you went in and looked and they told you qualified wages on the Google search, the definition was not correct as of April 15, 2021. So just because you see it in print doesn't mean it's correct. So what happens here, you can go out there and see, there's articles out there that it goes through June 30th. But that was so ERC 1 was for 2020. ERC 2 is for 2021. But then they, what I call ERC extended. So they went through June 30th and the extender went ahead and under a different law, moved it through December 31st. So we've had 3 major legislative changes in ERC, actually 4. But my point is that watch when you're reading this stuff because you need to be sure that you're doing it correctly. So in this case, the big takeaway here is the PPP here, and then if you had any family sick leave, you can't take family sick leave in it too. But the neat thing here, it's on 70% of the first $10,000 per quarter on each employee. So you have to get your payroll reports, and here's the biggest takeaway. I did this in part 1. I can't say it enough again, but qualified wages on PPP, 90-some% of the time, whether the bank at fault, the small business at fault, the advisor at fault, they just used, for the debt forgiveness on the PPP, they used nothing but wages. So in order, you have to look at first base, was it a qualified quarter? Then I have each quarter it qualifies. Then I got to look and say, what's my qualified wages? And in the period the PPP was being used, you need to look at the debt forgiveness given to the bank, because in there, almost every time you're going to find they used 100% of wages instead of 60% under those rules and those videos we did. So that's my biggest issue, my biggest takeaway at second base is the fact that qualified wages, please look at the debt forgiveness application to the bank. With that, you know, we're now ready to draw our second little line here. This was 2020. We're ready to run to third base, and there we're going to look at the 941, 941X, and the 7200 to finally get us home for money in our bank account, a refundable credit. And again, for 2021, 70% of up to 10,000 qualified wages per employee that will be deposited in our bank account. This is, you can't get any better than this. So stay tuned. We want to see it at home plate. Again, hit the bell. And Laura, I always do that one wrong. So take it away and give me a recap before I say thank you.
Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and also we have a Facebook page, so if that's an easier way for you to keep up with us, like and follow our Facebook page, and we will keep you up to date on every time we put out a new video. Thank you, and hope this helps.
Yes, and see ya at home plate when we get to deposit the money or have the money deposited, the refundable credit now.